first song for the new one. Just to do it. What do you think? Oh, my hair's awful. Ooh. Rewind. Rewind. You couldn't have sung that much. Go back. Oh, it's because it's... Oh, we're recording too. I didn't realize you pressed OK.
That's good.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mm. I know most of you guys know to connect the world and the culture, and same with ASL, to connect the culture and the language. Okay, in the deaf community back then, it was a group, and they go to, residential schools, they have programs, they connect with clubs, and they use ASL. And there are many years that, they were, and the hearing parents, they teach, and, they had a negative influence on the, ASL world. And ASL continued, and how did they continue? Man was a professor. He brought, 3 reasons. Continued strong, connection. Most of the deaf parents that are hearing communicate at home, they can't. So they send them to deaf schools, and they learn a lot, that's when they learn the most. And the deaf kids communicate, and they feel close and they become a family. At home, not so much. When they're growing up, they grow up together in deaf schools, and they graduate and they socialize, and, they get out in the world and they deaf, and, they maybe marry other deaf people, and, they socialize more and they continue to connect. Okay, they can do things like join deaf clubs, go to, deaf tournaments, like for sports, go see movies with closed captioning, all these things they can do, and, it just makes them close together. And it helps them to want to save their language because of how close they are. Another reason why deaf, they can't hear. English, you're speaking language, for them it's all confusing. For ASL, the deaf, very, they like the expressive, how they sign it. They protect their ASL. Other reasons they continue to socialize, communicate, and the hearing come, so they continue to do ASL? No. So, when they go to the hearing person, they change, and they change everything to English. They protect the hearing, or they block the hearing from coming in and going into the ASL. They can't try to join the deaf world. They're very protective about that. So, change to ASL? No, they change automatically to English. So why? It's just to keep it going on. Keep it continuing. You can compare deaf children and hearing children. How do you learn language for deaf children? First, hearing children, their parents, Americans, they speak English. Parents, they're hearing, open their mind, whatever, they don't understand speaking, but they still talk. And they continue to talk. Sometimes it's very important to talk and continue to talk so the baby learns. So the whole family, they go and they talk to the baby. Brothers, sisters, cousins, so they can hear. They use TV, they use many things. Same time, they can hear. Growing up, they became knowledgeable of English and, reading and, they feel up and down, roller coaster, the question, different questions that they have, growing up, normal. Now for the deaf child, parents that are deaf, they're born, they use ASL. So they sign, same with English, they just sign, just like hearing parent with English, and the kid becomes knowledgeable of ASL. And they become more comfortable with it, and at the same time, still, this kid learning English, this kid learning ASL, they tend to get a lot better skilled at it. Why ASL is the first language? Not the second. The second language should be English. Third class, hearing parents having a deaf child. Remember, most of the deaf kids, the children, and hearing, have hearing parents that is 90%. And they don't know. They're born deaf and, okay, parents are like, they don't know what to do. So they make them talk and, they can't hear. What's the point? They don't know. So they continue to talk day and night, continue to talk, make friends with hearing people, they can't hear. They're deaf. They can see the language? No. Because these people are talking. It's a speaking language. So growing up, they feel, they can do nothing. They go into schools, English, okay, language, they don't know. But 59, I don't know, use that, they tend to fix and tend to English by, it's not very clear. ASL is normal, they see visual, kids from normal can't hear, they use their eyes. Okay, I want to discuss the deaf education, the attitude towards ASL. For deaf schools in the program, they sign. Number one, English. It's very important. They don't care about math, science. It's very important is English. They don't care, the only thing they do care about is English.